Good morning. Good morning and welcome to this service of worship at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tucson. For those of you I haven't had the pleasure of meeting, my name is Reverend Bethany Russell Lowe, and I have the great pleasure and honor of serving this congregation. Our community is striving to be as varied of the blooms of the Sonoran Desert, so whoever you are, whoever you've been, whoever you are becoming, I invite you to bring your whole self here and now. Our requirement to wear masks in worship and concurrent religious education has lifted. You are, of course, welcome to still keep masking, and if others are masking or asking for social distance, we just ask that you respect those needs and wishes. And our hope is that if you're feeling sick, we encourage you to stay home or wear a mask when you join us in person. And our hope is that if you are joining us for in-person activities in this community, you are vaccinated against COVID-19, among other things, but COVID-19 in particular, if you're joining us in person. Those of you joining us in person know, and maybe if you're online too, we are in a different space this morning. We are in the original sanctuary, Goddard Hall, which was the original sanctuary on this campus. We haven't worshiped here, though, since the 1970s very much. So we will be here for a few months while the construction on our HVAC in Holland Sanctuary is ongoing. I extend a special welcome to any visitors this morning and invite you to fill out a guest information card. If you are joining us online, our administrator, Mary Weiss, will post that in the chat right now. If you're here with us in person, once we transition to social hour, you can head to the Welcome Center, which is behind you and to your left. There will be clipboards there that you can fill out if you want us to stay in touch with you. And we will meet for social hour right after the service, right here. If you are able, if you have the strength and ability to help us transition some of the folding chairs around the tables and drag the tables out a little bit, we'd love a little bit of help setting up for social hour, and this will be something we do every week. The black chairs stay. The folding chairs, though, could go around some tables. We will also have coffee, iced tea, lemonade, and some snacks from our kitchen ministry this morning. And a few announcements before we get going. I will announce where the bathrooms are in this building because we haven't been here in a little while. You can head out the doors to your left, down the hallway and turn left. There are 2 gender-neutral bathrooms. If you would like to visit your old bathrooms that are in Holland Sanctuary, we have that back door open, so if you're really attached to those bathrooms, there are men's, women's, and 1 gender-neutral handicap-accessible bathroom over there. Starting this Thursday, I will be on sabbatical, taking a sabbatical cheering committee. I will be on a 3-month sabbatical per my contract, the terms of my contract with your congregation. We will essentially not be in touch, and I will be resting, and you'll hear more about what I'll be doing and thinking about in my sabbatical today. While I'm on sabbatical, Jamili Omar, our Director of Lifespan Faith Development, will be taking on a very limited role as a sabbatical minister. You'll see Jamili preaching quite a bit more. She'll have a more active role in worship. And if you have any pastoral needs, which could be life transitions, health needs, someone to accompany you through a moment in a transition or moment in your life, Jamili will be your go-to. And we have an update on our Holland Encore, which is the additional pledges for that HVAC construction. Can I have a drum roll? Thank you very much. So far, we have raised $53,000 additional, which is just fabulous. We still think we need another $21,000 in pledges or so. So if you have not given to the Encore yet, or if you would like to give even an Encore, see Janet Moore, Margot Garcia, Ken Ash, probably any member of the building committee could help you with that. Before we move into our service further, I encourage you to turn to a neighbor, hopefully one you don't know very well yet, and share something that brought you joy this week. Something that brought you joy. Out. Out of the din of the city.
Away from the noise of the crowds.
Welcome. To rest in this moment.
In this place.
Set apart from the never-ending to-do lists.
Embracing the seventh day, a day of rest.
We come to the warmth and stillness
of this sacred hour.
Remember, you have chosen to be here. Something in your life has led you to arrive here now.
Whatever tasks and cares await you, now for this brief time, simply rest.
Allow your soul to be nurtured. Let the waves in your mind and heart gradually subside.
And come home to yourself, holy and whole. Good morning. My name is Brenda Lunt, and I'm your worship associate this morning. Will everyone please join me in our chalice lighting words in a minute by Reverend Eric Walker Wickstrom. Ooh, they got missed. Well, I'll do them. It's okay. We light this chalice for all who are here and all who are not, for all who have ever walked through our doors, for those who may yet find this home, and for those we can't even yet. For each of us, for all of us, may this flame burn warm and bright. Now, if you have a chalice or candle at home, please light it now as we light our chalice here in Holland.
And if you are able, would you rise and join in song as we bless this space with these words, "May nothing evil cross this door," hymn number 1. May nothing evil cross this door, and may ill fortune never pry About these windows may the roar and glide go by. By faith made strong, the rafters will withstand the battering of the storm. This heart through all the world grow chill will keep love warm. He shall walk softly through these wounds, touching our lips with holy wine, till every casual corner blooms into a shrine. With laughter drown the raucous shout, and though these sheltering walls are thin, may they be strong to keep paid out and hold love in. Thank you. Please be seated.
Okay, good. Our earth is strong. It can hold our pain and our joy, our love and our anger. Our shared bowl, which we use for joys and sorrows each week, is strong enough to hold the big rocks that represent our collective celebrations and mournings, and also smaller stones that will be added to signify our individual joys and sorrows. Let us remember those desert people who came first to this place. We honor the Hohokam, the Yavapai, the Tono Otham, the Yaqui, and other peoples who no longer exist as tribal entities here in Arizona. We who live in the desert know that water is a life-sustaining and scarce resource. Let us remember those who are walking through our desert right now without sufficient access to water. We pour water from a plastic jug, similar to the ones used similar to ones used by those seeking to assure greater access to water in the desert, like our ministry partners, No More Deaths. If you have a joy or sorrow to share, I invite you to go to menti.com and put in the code 14760064. If any of you here in the sanctuary wish to put your thoughts up on Menti, Brian Moon is not going to help you today. I don't know who is. Reverend Bethany is. I should have asked that. I apologize. If you're here in person, in just a second, I'm going to invite you to come up to the table and create ripples of hope by putting a stone into the water to symbolize your joy or sorrow. Because we're in a new space, and given the flow of the space, what we ask you to do is line up here in the center aisle, and then when you return to your seats, go around to the outside aisles, back to your seat when you do that. And we are going to do that at this time. show. We're giving our AV team a second to display what was put on the mentee. Ooh, I'm going to have a hard time with those. Love to my aunts who passed away yesterday. Missing my mom today. I remember my niece and son who struggle with active addiction. May the rest of the family remember to have empathy. Joy, my son is home from college for the summer. Sorrow, he is a sleepy boy and did not join me for church today. Today, I am grateful for the sunshine. Please help me remember that my failures are not because my higher power has failed me. Glad to be home after a successful trip. Joy and gratitude for all who worked to make the transition to services in Goddard possible. Let's take a moment of silence to honor these joys and sorrows shared, as well as the many that are not shared. Please join me in a spirit of prayer, contemplation, and meditation, whatever is your own way of centering or grounding. Our words for centering come from Jan Richardson from her book, Circle of Grace. She writes, "If you stand at the edge of this blessing and call down into it, you will hear your words return to you. If you lean in and listen close, you will hear this blessing give the story of your life back to you. Quiet your voice, quiet your judgment, quiet the way you always tell your story to yourself. Quiet all these, and you will hear the whole of it and the hallows of it, in the spaces, in the telling, in the gaps where you hesitate to go. Sit at the rim of this blessing. Press your ear to its lip, its sides, its curves that were carved out long ago by those whose thirst drove them deep through those who dug into the layers with only their hands and hope. Rest yourself beside this blessing, and you will begin to hear the sound of water entering the gaps. Still yourself, and you will feel it rising up within you, feeling every emptiness springing forth anew." A religious community is like a river formed from the many streams in our lives that meet and merge and flow to the sea. As members and friends of this religious community, we share our time, energy, creativity, imagination, and visions, our talents, skills, and gifts, and the streams of our individual lives create a river that is both deep and broad. A river that is made from many streams sustains life and refreshes the land through which it flows. But the river of this community also depends on our shared financial support that makes our shared values and vision. We will now receive an offering for the support of this religious community and its work in the world. You are invited to give generously and joyfully as you are willing and able. And now we'll hear from our wonderful musician, Liz.
Thank you, Liz. And I'll add some more appreciation for Liz. I'm sorry for not introducing it earlier. Liz was in a worship planning meeting a few weeks ago, and Brian and I were lamenting about how we weren't going to have a pianist this week, and we were getting a little nervous about it. And Liz says, I can do that. So thank you, Liz. Our reading this morning is an excerpt from the Introduction to How to Do Nothing, Resisting the Attention Economy by Jenny Odell. It's one of the things on my sabbatical reading list. But you notice this is only an excerpt from the introduction. She writes, "Nothing is harder to do than nothing. In a world where our value is determined by our productivity, many of us find our every last minute captured, optimized, or appropriated as a financial resource by the technologies we use daily. We submit our free time to numerical evaluations, interact with algorithmic versions of each other, and build and maintain personal brands. For some, there may be a kind of engineer's satisfaction in the streamlining and networking of our entire lived experience. And yet, a certain nervous feeling of being overstimulated and unable to sustain a train of thought lingers. Though it can be hard to grasp before it disappears behind the screen of distraction, this feeling is in fact urgent. We still recognize that much of what gives one's life meaning stems from accidents, interruptions, and serendipitous encounters, the off time, quote unquote, that a mechanistic view of experience seeks to eliminate." She continues, "The tree provides me with an image of resisting in place. To resist is to place in place is to make oneself into a shape that cannot so easily be appropriated by a capitalistic value system. To do this means refusing the frame of reference, in this case, a frame of reference in which value is determined by productivity, the strength of one's career, and individual entrepreneurship. It means embracing and trying to inhabit somewhat fuzzier or blobbier ideas of maintenance as productivity, of the importance of nonverbal communication, and of the mere experience of life as the highest goal. It means recognizing and celebrating a form of self that changes over time, exceeds algorithmic descriptions, and whose identity doesn't always stop at the boundary of the individual. In an environment completely geared towards capitalistic appropriation of even our smallest thoughts, doing this isn't any less comfortable than wearing the wrong outfit to a place with a dress code. To resist in place takes commitment, discipline, and will. Doing nothing is hard." That ends our reading. They say that a watched pot never boils, which in my experience is usually true, except, as I learned recently, when you are teaching a toddler to make oatmeal. Last weekend, Otis, my toddler, just 2-year-old, showed an interest in helping me make our breakfast. As I put the water on the stove to heat up, he dragged over his step stool, climbed up, and said, "Help," as in, I help. So we measured out the oatmeal and shook in a little salt. Let me tell you, there was a lot of stirring of those lightly salted dry oats as we waited for the water to boil. Every few minutes, we'd look over and see how the bubbles were developing. When I got impatient, I'd ask him if he wanted to go play. "No," was his clear response. So there we were, watching this water boil. The dry oats got stirred, hands were kept away from the bubbles. We talked about other bubbles we know about, how they go. Pop. We watched as the bubbles grew on the bottom of the pot and then stopped. Soon after that, steam began to form and slim towers of bubbles began to rise from the bottom of the pan. The oats got stirred some more. The towers of bubbles got wider. The oats got stirred again and again. And wouldn't you know it, that watched pot boiled. When it did, we poured in the oats together and stood there for another 15 minutes while they cooked, stirring and stirring and stirring and stirring. Oatmeal has been a frequent breakfast request this past week. As I approach my sabbatical, which I mentioned starts Thursday, I've been looking, thank you, Sabbatical Cheering Committee. I have been looking for opportunities to learn how to rest, because that's my goal in my sabbatical, is to learn how to rest. I have never felt great at rest. My parents say it used to take me 45 minutes to fall asleep when I was a baby, and that still rings true. I have never been great at sleeping. And when I'm awake, I'm someone who tends to want to always do something, even if it's a small game or twirling my ring, as you've seen me do, or a game on my phone. But making oatmeal last weekend, it was my impulse, I'll remind you, to leave the warming water and go play. It was my toddler's instinct to rest in that process of just making breakfast. So I'm channeling his impulses as I approach my sabbatical goal of relearning how to rest. Physician Sandra Dalton Smith says that humans need many types of rest, not just sleep. She names at least 7 types of rest that we all need. In addition to physical rest, humans need mental rest, social rest, creative rest, emotional rest, spiritual rest, and sensory rest. Thinking about these 7 types of rest makes me wonder what type of tired you are feeling and what type of rest you need. When your brain feels like mush, you might need mental rest. Sandra Dalton Smith suggests that we turn off the TV, move away from the email, and try meditation instead in those moments. When people are just exhausting you, you might need social rest. Plan some alone time or catch up with that friend who you don't have to explain so much to. When you are out of creative or innovative ideas, you might need creative rest. So she suggests that we put down the pencil or the paintbrush or the keyboard and go for a walk, read your favorite book, go visit a museum. When you are deep in your feelings, you might need some emotional rest. Call your therapist if you have one, or find one. Or find someone who you can be your whole self around. When you're feeling unanchored or alone, you might be in need of spiritual rest. Come to church. Go to that place where you learn to make meaning of the world, find community, find your people. When your eyes are burning, your body is stiff, and you're hyper-reactive to sounds, smells, or touch, you might need sensory rest. Turn off the screen, get some fresh air, float in water. Sleep, naps are not the only answer to the rest you might need. In our increasingly technological and communication-driven world, we need rest from the demands of our jobs, the demands of our social life, the demands of the 24/7 news cycle. And it's tough to break from these demands because in our culture, busyness is an addiction. We are taught that if we are not busy, we might not be doing enough, and therefore we might not be worthy. This idea is tied up with the Puritan work ethic and capitalistic needs for human production, both of which are intertwined in American culture. To be very clear, your worth is not your productivity. In the United States today, saying that, believing that, is an act of resistance. It is not just this moment that we need to be reminded of our human need for rest. Throughout time, people have needed to be reminded of this truth. The Jewish Sabbath and Christian Shabbat are 2 examples of religions reminding adherents of this truth. In his book, Sabbath as Resistance, Saying No to the Culture of Now, American Protestant theologian Walter Brueggemann writes about the theological underpinnings of Sabbath. And he writes this: "The Sabbath rest of God is the acknowledgement that God and God's people and the world are not commodities to be dispatched for endless production. Rather, they are subjects situated in an economy of neighborliness. All of this is implicit in the reality and exhibit of divine rest. The divine rest on the 7th day of creation has made clear that A, Yahweh is not a workaholic, B, Yahweh is not anxious about the full functioning of creation, and see that the well-being of creation does not depend on endless work. This performance and exhibit of divine rest thus characterize the God of creation itself, and the creatures made in the image of the resting God. In Brueggemann's analysis, Sabbath, rest on that seventh day or sixth day, is a reminder of our covenant with other beings. Commodities are things to be used and assessed as useful to society, but we are not commodities. We are worthy, we Unitarian Universalists might say inherently worthy of love and life. Sabbath is a call for all humans to intentionally stop their productivity and turn towards each other, towards their God if they have one. It is a reminder that our innate worthiness matters, not our production. In our capitalistic world, which attempts to commodify not only our lives but also our time, we must regularly stop producing and turn towards each other. Sabbatical has its roots in Sabbath, which is why my sabbatical break will be a break from work, a break from productivity, a chance to find rest, to recovenant with myself, with my community, with my family, with my work. And I hope that you can spend these next 3 months exploring what rest means for you. Remember those 7 types of rest I named earlier? Which one did you find yourself most in need of? What would emotional or mental rest look and feel like? What would social or creative rest be like? What form would sensory or spiritual rest take? Find the rest you are yearning for and give yourself permission to stop doing and just be. Rest in the truth that you are worthy of love and life and rest. It is worth your time to watch the water boil. It is worth your time to sleep in when you can. It is worth your time to go for a casual walk or vent to a friend. It is worth your time to read that trashy novel and spend time in meditation and simply float in water. These things might feel like a waste of your time, but they're not. Your well-being is not a waste of time. Remember the words from our reading this morning: nothing is harder to do than nothing. My friend Liz Weber said, as I was preparing for the sabbatical and struggling with what to do, she said, "Bethany, rest is a challenge." And I offer that to you. Rest is a challenge, and a challenge worthy of our attention. Learn to be like that tree, resisting in place, looking capitalism in the face and saying, "Not today. My roots are in my worthiness." If we rest, we just might save ourselves. Part of Brueggemann's lesson for us is that Sabbath, intentional rest, gives us the opportunity to be in relationship. He writes, "Sabbath is a practical divestment so that neighborly engagement, rather than production and consumption, defines our lives." Our world needs more neighbors and fewer divisions. We need more rest and less work. We need more people who are prioritizing one another over what they do. So friends, watch the water boil. Connect with a friend. Talk to your therapist. Go for a hike. Cook good food. Read that book you've been wanting to read. Sleep in, rest. Do nothing. It will be hard, but it just might save your life, and it could help us all get free.
Would you please rise and sing "Winds Be Still," hymn 83. I believe the words will be on the screen. Winds be still, clouds pass and silence come, peace grace this time with harmony. Brightwood of hope and shine light above, and in calm let all find tranquility. Birds fly high, lift our wings towards distant blue, help us to sense life's mystery. Fly high and far, and lead us each to see how we move through the winds of eternity. Light shine in, storm cloud light our inward view, help us to see with clarity. Shine bright and true, so we may join our songs in new sounds that become symphony.
Hi. So, we're going to do, as it says, the sabbatical minister charge. And I'm going to read this, I think, right? Yes, I am. Oh, I'm going to read this all by myself. This is lovely. This view is really nice, just so you know. I'm going to read this part alone, then you're going to respond. I'm going to read this part.
We're
And it says-
to you when it's your part.
Okay. We haven't practiced, can you tell? But anyway, it says, Reverend Bethany will begin a 3-month sabbatical starting June 1st. And we want to close our service today by wishing Reverend Bethany a fulfilling and rejuvenating sabbatical, rest, and offering a blessing for each other, as well as embracing Jamili, our new sabbatical minister.
I want you to know that I am thankful for the gift of ministry with you all and for the opportunity for this spiritual and personal renewal. Remember that ours is a shared ministry. I look forward to continuing this ministry we have built together when I return in September. Now you have a part.
Now we do have a part, and we're going to read this together. Reverend Bethany, may you rest well on your sabbatical. We send you with our blessing. We keep you in our hearts, knowing that you are part of us, and we pray for you. We trust you will return recharged and energized for our shared ministry.
Since I am taking time away from direct ministry, I ask that you embrace Jamili Omar as your sabbatical minister, and also encourage and support each other while I am away. I know you will, for I have witnessed and felt your love and appreciation for ministry. I trust that you will offer that same love and appreciation and trust to Jamili while I'm away.
Thank you, Reverend Bethany. I am so happy you have this opportunity for rest and renewal. Your ministry has been such a gift to us in this congregation and building trust and healing in our community. We together will continue the work and the play of this congregation.
We have more to read. Let's read this together. We commit to embracing Jamili as our sabbatical minister and hold steady to our shared ministry. This summer, we will remember what we do at church together, and that our mission is to seek transformation for ourselves, our community, and our world. While we do this work, oh, I have more, together. There you go. We ask that you be patient with us. We ask that you learn and grow alongside us. We ask that you remind us that loving one another is our most important task.
Oh,
One.
always in beta. Thank you. There's nothing that I cherish more than working with this congregation. Thank you for accepting me in this role. It is a deep honor.
Now, may the sabbatical spark excitement for a whole congregation. Reverend Bethany, as you leave, let our love be a gentle current supporting you as you rest and restore. And let the same love welcome you back with us again.
Make it so. Amen. I think we have some folks joining us. I'm not sure where they're going to come in from, so we will be surprised. Anybody want to guess who they might be? They are, and young, and maybe excitable, and thank you. Let's see. It's just the coordination is hard. Oh, now we lost one. I feel like there's a story there. Now somebody else goes to find Steve, and then somebody goes, no? Okay. Steve can do it. Okay. Yeah, the whole congregation. Let's all go to nursery. Oh, here they are. Here they are. Yay! So, you all can come in and find your grown-ups, or you can go sit in the Welcome Center with, oh, Lois, you have a thing? Thank you for bringing this. What did you bring?
It's just a card we made, that's all.
It's a card we made for whom? Do you want to give it to her? Who's the card for? Where did she go? Oh, we lost her. And Otis. The kids made you a card today. And it says, we love you, Reverend Bethany. We will miss you. See you soon. And it's wet with baby slobber. So just so you know. I have a story, and since our kids are spread out all over, I want to invite everybody to help me tell this story for us. It is a once upon a time story, which means that maybe it's true, maybe it's a once upon a time. So once upon a time, there was a woman named Mia, and Mia had a wonderful life that she loved a lot. What do you think was in her life? What did she have? Friends. Say it out, Isa. Love, absolutely. What else did she have? Pets, a place to live, a place to worship, family. She had food. She had a wonderful life. And in the home that she had, that she tended very lovingly, she had a beautiful butterfly garden that bloomed when do butterfly gardens bloom? Spring? They bloom in the spring, so every spring, riotous colors of flowers and milkweeds and pods and the butterflies that would come through. And as you entered into her very favorite room, which was her sitting room, she had a fireplace with an old oak mantle on it that was handed down from many generations. And at the foot of her fireplace were beautiful blue tiles to protect the rug. So this is Mia's wonderful life. So Mia one night had this really persuasive dream. She dreamed that she left her beautiful home and she went on a journey. And at the end of her long, arduous journey, she saw a bridge. And at the bottom of the bridge was a pile of treasure. What kind of treasure would it be? What could be in that treasure? It could be gold. What else could be in that treasure? Toys. 100%. What else could be in that? A child. What else? Chocolate? I mean, I wouldn't turn it down. So she dreamed that there was treasure at the bottom of this bridge. Mia woke up in a start and she felt this urge to go and explore and look for this. She's like, no. My life here is beautiful and wonderful. I'm just going to stay. Well, Mia went to sleep the next night. She had that same dream again. She dreamed that she went on this arduous journey and she saw a bridge, and at the base of the bridge was treasure, right? She's like, no, my life is here. Mia dreamed the same dream night after night after night for a really long time. And finally, Mia said, okay, I hear you. I need to go and look. So Mia, maybe, I was going to say MapQuest. We don't MapQuest anymore. How do we find directions? Google Maps. She got her Google Maps out and set the GPS for what looked like the right bridge. And she went on a car, and she went on an airplane. And how else did she travel? A train. A horse. Maybe she took a horse. How else could she have traveled there? Broomstick. She got there, right? And so finally, after weeks and weeks of travel, Mia gets to this bridge, and it is the bridge from her dreams. And she's like, I'm almost there. I'm almost to this treasure. And she gets to the bottom of the bridge where she knows this treasure is going to be. And you know what's there? A guardhouse. It's a guardhouse, and she says to the guard, I have to get past here. The treasure is just beyond where you are. And the guard says, you can't pass. And the guard says, wait a minute, tell me what your name is. Her name is Mia, good memory. And he says, Mia, you look really familiar. You know, for the last 6 months, I've been having this dream of this woman that has a beautiful butterfly garden, and she has a fireplace with a wooden mantle, and at the floor of the fireplace are these beautiful blue stones. And Mia says, that's me. That's my house. That's my butterfly garden and my stone fireplace. And the guard says, I have dreamed that there is treasure under your fireplace. And Mia says, well, is there treasure here? And he's like, no, just me. So Mia travels back home by horse and by train and by broomstick and by car. And she gets back home, pancake car, whatever she needs to do to get back home. And she gets back home and she looks under her hearth, under her fireplace. And what do you think she finds? Maybe. But she has come home to a life that she loves. And Reverend Bethany, when you come back home to us, we will embrace you and love you, and we hope you have a wonderful journey.
Will you please stand one last time or not one last time, stand again as you are willing and able, and sing Love Will Guide Us. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, built inside if you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from grief to giving. Love will guide us. will guide us through the hard night. Thank you.
Okay. Wait, come here. Stand with me. And when I tell you it's time, then you can extinguish it, okay? Let me find the right page. Excuse me. Got distracted by singing. All right. Will you please join me in saying the words of our chalice extinguishing from UU poet activist Atina O'Danner? As you'll read the italicized words, and I'll read the plain text. This is a piece called Benediction to Build a World. In what world are you powerful?
In this world, we can build equal power together.
In what world do you act on knowledge and truth?
In this world, we can learn and move forward justice together.
In what world do you hold your values in face of what scares you?
In this world, we can affirm each other's resolve to do right together.
In what world are you confident in your worth?
In this world, we can affirm that each of us is enough.
In what world do faith and beliefs guide your choices?
Together, we can build this world.
In what world can you learn from those with less power?
Together, we can build this world.
In what world could empathy shield you from judging others?
Together, we can build this world.
In what world will you power plant roots and tend to branches and leaves?
Together,